For me, there's a really powerful part of Agile, which sometimes I find not many organizations explore, and that's the continuous learning aspect of it. We hear a lot of buzzwords, continuous improvement, continuous delivery, but for me, there's something really, really powerful to explore there, especially when it comes to the learning aspect, and that touches things like failing fast and feedback. What are your thoughts on organizations and Agile and this idea that empowering people to learn and to really sort of build upon that learning and explore ideas and innovate?
Mm-hmm. It's rare that you'll get me to say something very definitive, but I'm going to be quite definitive here.
I know you.
If you're not learning, you're not Agile. That's probably the most definitive I'll ever be. Yeah. And I'm passionate about that. It's one of the principles of the Agile Manifesto. It just so happens to be right down the bottom, but you've got to take advantage of the opportunity that you're giving yourself to learn. By doing something small and quick, you're learning. You're learning whether you're doing the right thing. You're learning whether you're doing it in the right way. You're learning whether it's going to be valuable. You're learning how you're going to go about doing things and how you can get better at doing them. All those opportunities are there. Now, I'm a believer that actually learning is one of the things that acts as a motivator for human beings. We're curious as a species. We want to get better at things. We like to expand our skill sets and learn new things. So the fact that there's an intrinsic motivation built into the Agile way of working is a good thing. So it should happen. However, I also see it as an obligation. If you're not taking time out to reflect and adapt, you can just be building the same thing, and you're abdicating your responsibility, if you like, to get better at things. Not just what you're building, but how you're building it. So that we have the opportunity at the end of every iteration to get some feedback about what we're doing. Okay, it might not be comfortable to learn that it's not perfect. But it's an opportunity to get better. And we have an opportunity to work out how to get better at how we're doing it. And again, that might not be comfortable to learn that I can improve in a certain area. But it's a good feeling when we do improve in that area. I don't know, how have you, it's obviously important to you as well, so how have you got into that habit yourself?
From a personal perspective? Yeah. So for me, I always say that you never stop learning, and it's probably not just me that says that, but every opportunity is an opportunity to learn. And I think from my own experience, I inspect and adapt on a regular basis for myself as a coach, as a Scrum Master. I'm always constantly asking for feedback of how did this go? Was that meeting facilitated in the best way possible? Could I have done something better? I think it's not just about teams, it's also about individuals, but this idea that feedback and learning and taking that feedback and improving yourself, improving your skills, improving the capabilities of a team, it's such a valuable, powerful aspect of Agile that I just think it's so underrated. And one of the things that I am very passionate about, and I tend to drive in organizations that I've worked in, certainly, is this idea that, we have communities of practice where we carve out space to also learn. So if you're working in such a way, for example, if you're using Scrum, naturally there's a built-in retrospective that allows you to stop and inspect and adapt and reflect on the past iterations. But some frameworks don't necessarily have that built in. So how do you carve out that time? And I think that's another question that, when you're transitioning from traditional approaches to Agile, or even just generally asking ourselves as companies, how are we learning? What are the areas you want to try and change and improve?